For nearly 2 decades, Troy Polamalu was viewed as one of the fiercest and most respected players in professional football. Fans admired his incredible athleticism, his fearless style of play, and the quiet humility that made him different from many other superstars. On the field, he looked almost unstoppable, flying across the defense with intensity that left audiences stunned and opponents terrified. His legendary hair, explosive tackles, and unmatched instincts turned him into an icon whose image became deeply connected to toughness and greatness. But behind the fame, championships, and public admiration was another side of Troy Polamalu's life that very few people truly understood. While millions saw a confident warrior dominating the NFL every Sunday, those closest to him knew he quietly carried emotional struggles, personal sacrifices, and internal battles that remained hidden from the public for years. The double life he reportedly lived was not about crime or scandal, but about the painful difference between the powerful football legend fans celebrated and the deeply private man trying to protect his peace away from a spotlight. From the beginning of his career, Troy Polamalu avoided the celebrity lifestyle that often surrounds professional athletes. Unlike many stars who embraced constant attention, he remained intensely private and uncomfortable with fame. Friends and teammates later describe him as thoughtful, spiritual, and emotionally sensitive beneath his intimidating public image. Yet maintaining that separation between public icon and private individual became increasingly difficult as his fame exploded. Every performance brought more media attention, more pressure, and more expectations from fans who viewed him almost like a superhero. While the world celebrated his toughness, very few people understood the emotional and physical pain he constantly endured behind closed doors. Football demanded everything from him, and over the years, the injuries slowly piled up. Troy Polamalu reportedly played through enormous physical suffering during much of his career, often hiding pain because he felt responsible for leading his team and protecting his reputation as one of the league's toughest players. Behind the scenes, however, the toll on his body and mind became overwhelming at times. Those close to him later hinted that the pressure of constantly appearing strong left little room for vulnerability or emotional honesty. The physical punishment of football eventually affected more than just his body. It began impacting his emotional well-being and personal life as well. Despite his success, there were moments when he reportedly felt exhausted by the non-stop demands of fame and competition. Away from cameras and stadiums, Troy Polamalu focused heavily on faith, family, and searching for inner peace, a side of himself many fans rarely saw. The public knew the fearless athlete, but his private world was centered around spirituality, reflection, and living a quiet life far removed from celebrity culture. That contrast created the double life many people never recognized. On one side was the legendary NFL defender worshipped by millions, and on the other was a deeply introspective man who often seemed uncomfortable with the very fame attached to his name. As his career progressed, the emotional burden of balancing those two worlds reportedly became increasingly difficult. Retirement eventually brought relief, but also emotional challenges that few fans expected. Like many athletes whose identities become completely tied to sports, Troy Polamalu reportedly struggled at times with adjusting to life away from football. The game that once defined him was suddenly gone, leaving him to rediscover himself outside the spotlight. Yet unlike many former stars, he chose an extremely private path after retirement, disappearing from much of public life and focusing instead on family and personal growth. Fans were surprised by how completely he stepped away because they were used to seeing him as one of football's biggest figures. Looking back now, many people view Troy Polamalu's story differently than they once did. What seemed like the perfect football life filled with glory and success now appears far more emotionally complex. Beneath the legendary plays and Hall of Fame career was a man quietly carrying pressure, pain, and emotional sacrifices that the public never fully understood. His journey reveals how even the strongest athletes can feel trapped between public expectations and private struggles. And now that more fans understand the hidden side of Troy Polamalu's life, many see not only a football legend but also a deeply human story of sacrifice, resilience, and the emotional cost of greatness.